Hi, and welcome back to the Hokkaiden Gaijin. My name is Andrew Tormenti, and I'm here to tell you guys all about Japan, and more importantly, Hokkaido. Today we're going to be stopping by once again in Sapporo, a spot that I frequently saw myself hanging out at on the weekends, as well as maybe some time off, and just if we can't figure out where to hang out with friends. Yes, this is none other than the stop known as Sapporo Station. Train stations in Japan typically like to be a lot of different things bundled into the station. This includes things like department stores, restaurants, movie theaters, and etc. And Sapporo Station is no exception. I like to think of Sapporo Station as the hub of Sapporo. That's typically easy to say about any of the big train stations in Japan. However, some could argue that Odori is where it truly meets, as that's where all the subway systems that are specifically in Sapporo meet. But no, I'd like to think that Sapporo Station is the big hub of Sapporo. It's the heart. It's where a lot of people gather. It's where a lot of people meet. It's where a lot of people leave. It's where you can get your omiyage. It's where you can go dine out after a long trip. It truly is the heart of Sapporo. Sapporo Station is the main railway station used in Sapporo and is an impressive modern building with a tower completed in 2003. Since the opening of the new Sapporo Station building, Sapporo Station is developing into an accommodation, shopping, dining, and retail area, competing with Odori and Susukino, both a short distance to the south. Many bars, cafes, restaurants, and shops have opened up and thrived in the area surrounding Sapporo Station as well. Sapporo Station includes the Apia Underground Shopping Mall, the Paseo Mall, an event square, a hotel, a Daimoru department store, and the Esta building with 10 floors of shops and restaurants, a big camera store, and the Sapporo Ramen Kyowakoku ramen theme park on the top floor. Sapporo Station serves JR Hokkaido trains on the Hakodate main line, including train services to Abashiri Hakodate Station in Hakodate, Otaru, which is about 30 to 40 minutes away, Wakanai, Ashikawa, and Kuchan for Niseko. The Chitose line links Tomakomai, a ferry port which ships to Nagoya, Sendai, and Ibaraki, with Sapporo, and joins with the Hakodate line. The station also is able to take you to New Chitose Airport, which gets you to the main airport in all of Hokkaido. Other types of transportations that you can get at Sapporo Station is, of course, taxis, buses that go throughout the city, and two of the main subway lines, the Namboku line and the Toho line, colored in green and blue. Sapporo Station used to have a bunch of former night trains, but unfortunately over the past few years and last decade in Japan, a lot of night trains have been shutting down, with the only one that is available being the Sunrise from Tokyo to Izumo and Takamatsu, which separates at Okayama Station with the Sunrise Seto. So unfortunately, all the ones that used to be a part of it, which was the Cassiopeia Overnight Limited Express, which ran between Ueno Station all the way in Tokyo to Sapporo, which is 16 and a half hours. And it was Japan's premier luxury chain, but unfortunately it is kind of out of business just because night trains seems to be less and less popular these days. Now we're going to get into the section where I talk about the things at Sapporo Station that I personally went to very multiple times. Some more in depth on some of the shops that I briefly mentioned to be in some of those buildings earlier. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, Sapporo Station is such a great hangout spot that I found myself going to on many days off on my weekends in Japan. Now, first and foremost, sometimes after a hard day of work, why not head over to the Namco Arcade? The Namco Arcade is a place that I typically hung out at with myself after a long, hard day of work, or on the weekends when I had friends come over and just hang out. We would do things like the crane games, or play the arcades like Mario Kart Arcade, or even some of the rhythm games that, even though I'm really bad at, I quite enjoyed playing very, very much. My proudest moments were probably on the crane games, where I won a few big plush items. I don't think I have any with me at the moment, but in a future video, I'll be able to show you guys some of my stuff that I brought home from Japan. Another thing that I like to do frequently in Sapporo Station is there's a whole floor of restaurants for you to try out. From Italian food to traditional Japanese cuisine, as well as some yakiniku, you can try many of the different types of food on this floor. Some of the multiple stores that I'd truly like to go to was in the Esta building, one being called Loft. Loft is a building that has a bunch of different small little sections and knickknacks that were really cool to see. One in particular is a character called Koppen-chan. Koppen-chan is a small little penguin that a lot of people really associate with Sapporo because of his cold song about not wanting to get out from his nice warm bed. a lot of us really can relate to that, can we? I will put a link in the description below of that original song that has this big iconic character really blow up in Japan. Another store in the ESTA building, of course, is Bit Camera. Bit Camera is a electronics store, kind of think of Best Buy, or if you're really old, Circuit City, that has a bunch of different electronics from video games to cameras themselves. They also have a toy section that just has a bunch of car games if you're into that, or even just figures. Last but not least, within the Daimaru section on the west side of Sapporo Station is none other than Pokemon Center Sapporo. Now this place, every time I went to Sapporo Station, I always made a point to go to. Pokemon has been a huge part of my life since I was a kid. Heck, some of my earliest memories were of playing video games, including Pokemon. And to have a Pokemon Center actually be in the city that I lived in and cherish, and maybe one day want to move back to, is something that I always dream of. In America, we really only have the one in New York. Meanwhile, in Japan, there's one in many of the major cities, at least. Tokyo's got like 5 or 6 by themselves. I'm exaggerating, or really, I'm kind of spot on, if you count all the wards and cities around Tokyo. But however, I saw myself going to Sapporo Station's Pokemon Center very much and loving the Sapporo-themed exclusives. And there you have it. That is the majority of Sapporo Station, pretty much just the central hub of travel, as well as being able to go to these many department stores and restaurants. Another cool thing at the very end of this that I'd like to mention is omiyage. Omiyage is something that you buy gifts from an area you're visiting or you live from when you go visit someone else, and you give them as gifts. So for example, for Hokkaido, if I was going to visit someone, I would bring them some of Sapporo's famous cookies, or if they're into some Sapporo beer, I'd maybe bring them a Sapporo Classic straight from the beer garden. But Sapporo Station has a omiyage store right next to the train gates that you can go to in case you're about to leave but still need to get some presents for your friends on your way home. And there you have it. That's Sapporo Station. Sapporo Station is a wonderful place that I loved going to and I hope to return to one day. Now, probably if I go back, Sapporo Station would continue to be a place that I'd visit and even hang out at. It's just the perfect spot for you to go to. If you like today's topic, please hit that like button. And if you have any comments about Sapporo Station or any of the stores or buildings around it, as well as any other topics in Japan, please leave a comment below. Last but not least, if you want to keep up with the Hokkaiden Gaijin and want to support my channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as that bell for notifications. My name is Andrew Tormenti, and this is the Hokkaiden Gaijin.